Good evening. Hello, Kirkin. I need to wake up a little bit here. Alright. So I need to figure out what I'm actually doing. So I think it's going to be getting this noise, getting a normal map for the water. So we're going to need, what, the Perlin noise water normals. We're going to need the Voronoi water normals. So let's generate those normals real quick and see what they look like. Alright, so we'll have this for normals. Looks a little bit fuzzy. So I gotta mess with all these settings until I get something that actually works. Yeah, exactly. Something going on with maybe the textures themselves. It's an HDR texture. Well, that's not really what I want. I want a texture which kind of looks like that. I am very confused as to why. It's probably that the Voronoi stuff that got pulled in with atoms actually is doing something kind of weird with its math that this thing is not happy with. So I guess maybe I'll try using the new noise texture to try to get that sort of stuff working properly. So why don't I just just do that. So that's the texture down there. So I can mess around with like the size and everything. Alright, so something like that. And I mean, this overlapping stuff can always, that's just how we're using the texture and the material. Alright, so we got that noise going on. And the other thing we need is this purlin noise stuff. So how do we make the purlin noise? Do we even have anything that does that? I don't think so. I think we've just got purlin noise. So why don't we try the normal generator and see if it can actually do anything with it? So we'll make a normal texture for that and see if we can generate anything that looks halfway decent. Well, that definitely looks like it's got some surface to it now. It might be a little bit too much of a surface, but it's something we can actually work with. So let's, I think, start testing it out. So those are the two normals textures. And what we want to do now is go to that material for the water and I think actually start plugging in the normals and see what we can get out of it. Now, what are all these things? What the hell happened to this noise stuff? Like, this looks all sorts of trashed out. Oh, it's all swapped. I screwed it up. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to revert that real quick. Alright, so purlin noise texture needs to be reverted, so let's revert it. And that's the cool thing about version control. Like, I can just be like, I screwed that thing up. Well, let's just undo that. Alright, so the input texture needs to be the noise texture, the output texture needs to be the normals texture. Yeah, I like that. Alright, so let's go to this material. Let's see what we can do. What are these pissed about? Should be linear color, not just color. See if it actually works. I'm gonna go ahead and close the material and then reopen it just to make sure that we've got what we want going on. Sometimes these things don't like to work properly. Looks like they all got saved, so that is good. Alright, so when we start on one thing at a time, so what we need to do is we need to get the texture coordinates that we were using for these colors, and we need to somehow blend them in with our normals. So we need to like take our normal weight and have like another pass on the whole thing in order to figure out what the normal should actually be. So maybe we should just take one area first, like this surface noise, not the surface noise, but the I guess this we've got our Verona textures here. Alright, so we need another like 2 texture samples right here. So this should be the water purling noise. No, this is starting with the wrong thing. Alright, so it's these guys. And I didn't really organize this super well for me to actually add in the normals, so something I just gotta learn to do a little bit better, I think. And I guess for these guys, we're multiplying these together? Should we multiply the normals together? How do we combine the normals when we do a multiply operation? Do we average? I guess we'd have to average. Alright, so if we average these things together, what's it going to look like? See if we can fix some of this normal texture. Alright, so we have the output texture, the output normals. I wonder if I could just update this over on the side. So if I set that to -16, yeah, these things look like they pop out now, as opposed to pop in. I'm not seeing the effect I would expect on the actual surface of the water, though. Like, I'm not seeing it actually get applied, so I don't think I'm getting saved. No, supposedly it's getting saved. So let's see. Why doesn't it look like what we think it should look like? Is there something wrong with the water itself, with the lighting not working? Because I guess what could be happening is, yeah, it's supposedly like this big static thing. So what might be going wrong here is this water blueprint thinks it's using static lighting when it shouldn't be. I have really nothing to base that on. So I'm just going to set this to mobility to movable. And we'll compile and save that and see if that changes how our lighting works. Yeah, I'm just not seeing really anything that has any sort of normal stuff on it in this. So I'm wondering if, I don't know, let's just plug in the wrong texture. Let's plug in like the Perlin water noise stuff here. So we should make it real obvious that stuff is all sorts of screwed up. Because like in our preview it looks all sorts of messy. I just want to see if anything is even happening here on this water surface. Yeah, okay, so stuff is happening. It's just not very, the effects are not large enough to be perceptible. So we're making progress, just we need to figure out what we need to actually change here to get this thing to work as we want it to. Alright, so what do we have for the normals? Let's see if we just need, you know, bigger normals. So I'm only looking in the middle here because these other areas are going to look wrong because they are wrong. Maybe this does need to be positive value. No. It's more like a wave effect. And I just gotta play around with this stuff a little bit. Yeah, anything more than a certain amount, it just kind of goes to hell. Alright, well, I think we're getting there. So that's not awful. Alright. So I think we have I guess we can do this. Alright, so the next thing I need to do is I need to get this calm shore stuff with its normals working as well. So we need some more texture samples. So if we added these together, I guess we'll just do another add and, divide, and we'll see how it looks. Alright, so this is 2048 by 2048. Oh, I guess that's a good point. I'm not generating a texture that is the same size as this thing. So let's see, we got this generation object. This render target has a specific size. Alright, so what we need to do is I need to modify this thing so that when it actually does this pump, that it actually snags the vector, the size of the texture. I guess it's get surface width. is what it should be. It's not even available. Alright, so like this, god damn it. Stuff's not even available to Blueprint Land. This is why we have the source code. This is why we have source code, so we can modify it and add things that are silly that they aren't there. Like I want to get the width and height of a texture inside of a blueprint. Just Google it real quick to make sure I'm not missing something. Get size X and get size Y. I mean, we have get size X and get size Y right here. Double check that I'm not actually missing it, because I thought I looked a little bit around for it and didn't find it. There it is. Alright, so we'll set on our render target, we'll set our size. And then we can't set the size on the render target? What the fuck? It's just size X and size Y? Well, then why can't I change it? Blueprint read only. Alright, why are they blueprint read only? Like, that makes no sense to me. Okay. So it's a blueprint read only. Because obviously we don't want people in blueprints to be able to set the size of a render target texture. Well, let's just throw a shim in here so we can actually edit it. Alright, so static void set render target extents and 32 width and 32 height. Render target. So let's just go ahead and make it so we can do things that other people cannot. So is it size X? And let's make it so we can actually then save that object. Yes, that's one of the nice things about Unreal is you can crack open the source code, and if there's like something in there preventing you from blowing your leg off, you can just be like, but I don't like legs. And then you can add the blow off your own leg extension yourself. It's pretty simple. Just take the safety off. Alright, so let's just get back. I mean, this is pretty much how I do all my work, is I start like, alright, let's do normals, and then all of a sudden, like 20 minutes later, I'm like, ah, god damn it, Unreal. It's typical. Let's work on normals, and 30 minutes later, let's write a whole bunch of random crap in here. So, fun times. So, we'll just compile this, get it all good to go, and then hopefully it should be pretty simple. We'll just get it to work. Alright, so let's mess with this. So inside of our pump function, we'll grab our texture, get size X, and then we'll have a get size Y. So we're going to want our render target, and we're going to want to call set render target extents. So when we call render on this thing, it'll change itself properly and just write in line for us. So we should be good to go. And what we're going to want to do also is edit the super amazing noise blueprint to do the same thing. So this will be our output texture. Well, I guess I actually need to put this in here. I actually need to put in a variable that says like width and height, or like, you know, just size. Let's go ahead and make it. Alright, so we'll set the size right in here based on what you selected. And we should be pretty much good to go there. So let's make sure that this works here. Alright, so we actually do crash inside of update texture. So it looks like there's some garbage that we need to call here. Oh, come on, Visual Studio. So I guess init auto format is what we need to do for this thing. Because it's going to crash in here because it's indexing into stuff which is garbage town. I like how I copied something and it overwrote what I copied because it's full of shit. Let's see. Is there just some function that I should be using on the render target to resize it? No, it's using like the post update change property crap in order to actually like set itself up properly. So if this auto format doesn't work, then what I'm gonna have to do is simulate a click, basically. Tell this thing something has changed and let it go figure itself out. Hello, Chris Coca 2. Welcome. I'm hopefully I'm generating some normal textures for the water surface, and then I'm modifying the water material to actually use some surface normals for lighting. First thing I'm doing is making sure that I can actually set these things properly in size. This is 2048 by 2048. It's looking like the correct thing. So if we go to our material, alright, so that looks like we've got normals working properly there. So we've got these normals, and Is this texture the same size as the other one? It's kind of a small texture though. That's kind of, I need to change that. I need to up the size for this noise generator. So let's just so it should be just a higher quality now. Doesn't look like it actually changed anything. So let's pop open this blueprint and make sure it's actually doing what we want. Ah, I see. So we don't have, I'm not setting the other render target properly. So yeah, it's a bunch of just editor stuff and getting helpful things going on. Alright, so now this thing is 1024 by 1024, so we got some higher res noise textures going on. So let's get back to our material. Alright, so how are these guys getting added together? So this is going to be a 0.2, so we're going to multiply I guess what we need to do is we need to multiply this thing by this noise opacity. And then we need to add the normals in here from here. So it's going to be this value added together. And then I guess we're supposed to normalize it. Though it might already be normalized at the end of this. I'm not really sure. Can I select this? Come on, let me select the link. Come on, Unreal, you can do it. Ah, it's not gonna let me do it. Stupid reroute nodes. I need to multiply it out over here as well, is what it looks like. Let's do it first. So that'll X that sort of stuff out. This will scale it down farther. And this will add it together. No 8K textures? Well, we can apply them. That'll be Adam's job, is to go harass me for higher res textures. Alright, so we need to multiply this here by this cookie cutter in order to actually get our normals in here like that. And then this value is the one that comes in down here. So it looks somewhat like this. Do we need to normalize this? Normal? Doesn't do anything. Alright, so let's apply this and take a look at it in the real world, the real fake world. So it's making these edges look all sorts of whacked out. Alright, yeah, so they're all sorts of screwed. I guess because they've got negative normals, they're going to have all sorts of very odd lighting behaviors. It's a lot of blueprint. Well, it's a complex material. It's got a lot of stuff going on. Alright, well, we'll get those normals sorted out here in a little bit. But I think it's this thing here is a little bit too crazy. So we can kind of tone down the intensity of those normals a little bit. I think we'll just have it at 4. That looks more like what I wanted. Alright, so let's get the normals going for the rest of this stuff in the middle here. So we'll do the surface noise in just a little bit. We should do the edges over here. Alright, so those are supposed to come all the way over. And then it gets masked out over here. That's where it gets masked. So we need in here is these normal texture lookups. This is just all sorts of spaghetti. So I need to multiply these guys out down here. So that'll give us that.